Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel for another video. For this week's video I am sharing 3 things that I have learned after writing a novel and a half, I guess. And maybe just a few other things like if they come to mind, but there's going to be 3 main facts, and so let's roll the intro so we can get on into the video. Alright, fact number 1, no novel is the same. And I have found this especially true after co-writing one book within a month, and then my second novel, which I wrote on my own, was drafted within like a 6 to 7 month period compared to 1 month. And there were many changes. I changed from first person to third person and added characters and storylines and removed storylines and everything, and so like no novel is the same, and I didn't realize that until I actually started writing my second novel, and now I'm on my third, which is going quicker than my second. So I can't really like say there's a certain time period that a novel can be written in. It can be written in a month, it can be written in a year or many years or many months, but there's not a set time depending upon what story you're writing. And I think something that's really important for any writer or author is to remember that your drafting process, your writing and editing and drafting and everything is unique. It's your process and it's not anybody else's. So whether you make a novel, you write a novel within a month or not, it's not that big of a deal. As long as you're enjoying yourself and you love the story you're telling, then the progress you make in a certain amount of time is not important. The second fact is that rough drafts are just that. They're rough. I'm especially learning this as I edit my second book, A Rose for Grace, because it's pretty rough. There's a lot of it is good, but there's still a lot of changes and things that I need to fix before I would send it to beta readers or anything or continue to publish it. And I think that we tend to get ahead of ourselves when thinking we're writing that it has to be perfect. But in reality, we're putting the story onto paper for the first time, and then editing is where it kind of like gets polished up and so on and so forth. So just remember that if you read through your work and it's just not as polished or pretty as a published book, then remember that it's a first draft, or even like a third draft can be rough. And just enjoy the process, like I said before. Tip number 3, or fact number 3, is don't Fact number 3 is to go with the flow and don't rush it. Gosh, it's don't force it. Ugh! Fact number 3 is to go with the flow and don't force it. Basically that means don't force yourself to to write a story that you don't want to, or don't force yourself to make every chapter the same length if they need to be a different length. And don't like stress over a word count goal, because I did when I started writing A Rose for Grace. I wanted to make 65,000 words within a certain amount of time and have everything done lickety-split, but I didn't realize that it wasn't gonna happen that way. And then once I started to loosen up and realize that, okay, 65,000 is my goal, but I am not gonna stress over that goal and make myself reach it by a certain point in time, guess what? I ended up with way over 65,000 words, and I wasn't stressed about it. So basically what fact number 3 is saying is just to not stress over your writing. Writing is supposed to be something that we do for fun, whether it's a full-time job or just a side hobby. It's still supposed to be fun, and we're supposed to be telling the stories that are in our hearts and that God gives us, and not forcing things to come to us just so that we can make a certain word count. Now, there is an exception. I just reached for the camera while I was still talking. We went over that last week, remember? Anyway, I guess I wouldn't necessarily call it an exception, but for the month of November, there is a challenge that most of you writers probably have heard of, and it's called NaNoWriMo. And basically, it's a challenge to write 50,000 words within the month of November. And I was hesitant about doing this challenge because I didn't want to be stressed over the word count like I just talked about. Then I decided to take the leap and do it because if I don't make 50,000 words, then it's nothing major. I just don't make that word count goal, but it's also kind of a challenge to see if I can. And so I think if you're challenging yourself for good reasons and you're okay with not making that goal, then you can bend the rule a little bit about not like having a deadline or a certain word count goal that you want to meet. Because if it's not something you're stressing about, then everything is going to be fine. So also, since we're on the topic of NaNoWriMo, that up there on my board says NaNoWriMo, and it's a storyboard for my new story. You get a sneak peek. Isn't that exciting? Are you excited to get a sneak peek? Yay! Anyway, those are my 3 facts about that was just a mess up. Anyway, those are the 3 facts that I've most learned over the process of drafting 1.5 novels, and I'm on my 3rd. And I hope those and I hope those tips can help you so that you enjoy your writing process as much as I am learning to. And this week's video was actually suggested by @audrey.bo.author because I asked on my Instagram story what I should do for a video this week, so thank you, Audrey. And as for the other suggestions on there, I will definitely do them in the following weeks. And if you ever have a video idea, just drop it in the comments below or tell me on my Instagram or anything like that, because I would love to do videos that you guys want to see. So that kind of concludes this week's video, and as always, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next week. Do you hear how I said week? It was like a week!